Kim shed 45 kgs, 99 pounds, but the odds were stacked against her from day one. When she was born, her mother suffered postnatal psychosis and she couldn't even look at her. Her grandmother raised her until she was 5 years old. Sent home, she never really felt like she belonged. Her childhood was marked by trauma and silence. Failing a suicide attempt at the age of 13, she learned to please, take less, to put herself last. Kim married young, became a mother early, and spent years caregiving for a partner left disabled. Food became her comfort. Alcohol was her Jesus, and her body carried the weight of every unhealed wound. There were moments she wanted to end it all, but something deeper kept her here. Through heartbreak, loss, and finally surrender, she found God, breathwork, and true self-love. Healing wasn't about the diets or willpower. It was about boundaries, truth, and releasing years of buried trauma. This is a single story of a single mother of four, her battle with obesity, and the relentless pursuit of freedom. This is the rebirth of Kim.
Yeah, I've been buzzing all morning.
Yeah. This is powerful. This could be an unlock for you. Yeah.
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 And you know, it's the 9th of the 9th of the 9th of the 9th. And nine is the number of closure and letting things go and stepping into your next timeline.
You just gave me mad shivers.
Yeah, it's a big day. So yeah, I'm like, whoo.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 100 Pounds to Freedom. My guest today has what's the word I'm searching for here? An insane story with so many layers. So we're going to unwrap this like an onion. Kim, welcome to 100 Pounds to Freedom.
Thank you.
Where do we start with you, girl? Let's start in childhood. Let's unpack. You experienced some trauma as a young kid. Yeah, let's go. Let's dive into that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not one anymore to dwell on the facts of the situation. You know, the story's been told. I've moved on and healed from it. But yeah, life was tough as a kid. My mum was really ill after having me and kind of didn't want me. So I ended up being raised by my grandmother for 5 years. No memory of that, but I was I don't even know if I kind of knew as a kid. It kind of was realization that was expressed like from my parents to me when I was older, because I didn't really have a lot of memories. Some of the traumatic memories I kind of thought were imagined, until it all came to the surface when I was about 13. Yeah. So most of my memories kind of are from the age of 10. I do get little epiphanies and little flashbacks and stuff. Like with regards to food, I remember one day all of a sudden remembering hiding in the pantry at the age of 7, crying and eating, you know? So there have been times I've thought maybe I'll go get hypnotherapy to unlock more memories, but I'm at the point now where there's just no need, you know? It's like I know what I know. I've healed and don't really like to revisit it, but I grew up feeling unwanted and unloved, of course, you know. My mother and I never connected because of those years apart. She had her own stuff going on. She had 3 of us all very close together. Yeah.
You were super close to your dad, right?
Yeah. I mean, as a child, Dad was, you know, one of my abusers. He became a father at 18, second child at 20, third child at 21. My mother was older than him, so he kind of stepped into a relationship where she led and he followed. Um, Not really ready for any of it, probably. They didn't have the best marriage. And I, being who I am, I'm a nurturer and a healer. I kind of was put into the role of marriage counselor as a kid. I knew everything that was going on in my home. Unfortunately, I had this habit of waking up in the middle of the night while my parents were arguing about stuff. But yeah, because I knew stuff, they felt it was okay to, pour all their baggage out onto me. But I was the fixer. I was the peacemaker. That was always my nature. So even though there was stuff going on that could have destroyed me completely as a kid, um, that deep essence of me allowed me to continue and not get bitter. My parents became Christians when I was 13. I had actually had a moment where I'd become a Christian maybe a year or so before that at Easter camp with a friend, or camp at a campground. There was, a Christian group there. And I was just like so excited to go home and tell my family that I'd met God. But I was mocked and ridiculed and like, oh, you can't do that. You're a Christian, It was like, so it just got to a point where it was like, this is way too hard. So it went away. And then when my parents became Christians, I was so mad. I was like, how dare you? It's like, you guys made so much fun of me and now you're doing it. So I was resistant for a while, but it didn't take long before I was just like, yeah, nah, this is me. I want to be this. So,
So
yeah.
home life improved quite dramatically.
Dramatically. Yeah. But as a teenage girl, though, it was kind of like, are you kidding me? We'd spent our childhood watching our parents party. Our house was always full of drunk people. And so the shift, like from that to, it was like pretty shocking to begin with. But I saw my parents really grow. I saw my father owned what he had been like. He sought forgiveness. He sought healing for himself. He really embraced Christianity, and I saw him turn into a really wonderful human being. Of course, later on, there was stuff, not stuff towards me or anything, but even though my parents had been Christians for several years, it ended in an affair. Sometimes people struggle to keep it up, the Christian lifestyle. But my father died 3 years, I think, after my parents' marriage ended. And I tell you what, my most precious and honoured experience in my life, getting a bit emotional thinking about it. And I think it was a huge turning point for me in my life too. And I can look back now and go, whoa, that was kind of like a level up, the magic of what I did. And I was there when my father passed away. And he was desperately trying to get out of the hospital bed. He didn't want to die, he was fighting. It wasn't a peaceful situation. He was determined not to die that night. But it got to the point where, they go downhill and they start giving them more drugs and stuff.
Yeah.
And he could only open one eye. I'd been bathing his head and stuff. And every time I moved around the room, his one eye was just like fixated on me. And as it got close to the end, he was still, you could see he was agitated and like looking at me like he wanted to say something to me. But at that point, with all the morphine, he wasn't able to speak. So I just looked him in the face and I just said to him, I forgive you.
Wow.
And that was, getting emotional. But to me, that's just like, that was a turning point in my life, It was like, and even today, I was thinking about it again with, writing stuff down yesterday. I was just like, yeah, that was such a blessing to get that opportunity. My brother had got in his car and raced up to Whangarei from Auckland to be there with Dad, but didn't make it in time. And he was really devastated. And I said, don't feel bad about it. I said, because it wasn't a nice, peaceful, loving passing, It's like, be grateful that you didn't have to be there, but I'm glad that I was, because it gave me that opportunity to let him go in peace.
Yeah. From to hear that, and he'd obviously been carrying stuff for years and years.
Yeah.
Kim, the name of this podcast is 100 Pounds to Freedom.
Yep.
You've lost in total over 100 pounds, over 45 kgs.
Over the years?
Yeah, exactly. First of all, kudos for the transformation and doing the hard work and getting into that. Let's talk about the weight gain. So you married early. You're like super young, like 19.
19, yeah.
Is so young to make that level of commitment. Walk me through that period of your life.
Well, when I was 17, I went to Bible college in Warkworth and got my diploma in evangelism. But for me, it was kind of a way to escape home.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and I was kind of zealous for the Lord, we're on Queen Street on Saturday night, reaching out to people and stuff. But yeah, I went home after Bible college, and my mother and I still didn't have a good relationship, so things turned to shit really quickly. And I went and stayed with a friend of hers, and in the 2 weeks that I was there, I turned 18. And because I'd met people at Bible college in Palmerston North, I was like, I'm moving to Palmerston North. So I moved to Palmerston North at 18, and yeah, met the guy I married with it 6 months after being there, I think.
Wow.
Totally unhealthy relationship. Yeah. It like the proposal was kind of like us, because my parents were harassing us about living in sin. So it was kind of like, I suppose we should get married. And I'm like, do you want to? And he's like, yeah. And I said, 100%. He goes, 99%. And I'm like, well, ask me again when you're 100% sure, How romantic.
Yeah, swept you off your feet.
I was this broken, lonely, freaking, I didn't know what I deserved. I didn't know what real love was. So, yeah, got married. My daughter came along when I was 21. Postnatal depression, but not excessive. My husband and I separated for about 7 months. I partied like a crazy person. And then we got back together, and within a month, I was pregnant with twins. And during the whole pregnancy, it's like we still hated each other's guts, And of course, because I had a 2-year-old, a 1-year-old and twins, I wasn't going to leave them. So I stuck around for about a year. And yeah, completely miserable. Left with my daughter at 3 and the twins, they were 1. So yeah, when you're on my own, spent a couple of
What was that like? What was that like? Like, I mean, you've got twins and they're 1 year old. You've got a daughter that's 3. You're very young yourself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first year of the twins' life, I had really severe postnatal depression with them, to the point where I was imagining putting the kids in the car in the garage and, ending it for all of us, because I couldn't bear the thought of, because I wanted to die. I was so depressed. I couldn't bear the thought of leaving them behind with their father, because I, didn't like him. But I knew that it wasn't normal to be feeling this way. So I sought help, and I was under a psychiatrist for about 18 months, heavily medicated, miserable, piled on the weight,
Do you think you're eating initially because of the medication, or was it some kind of coping mechanism?
Like I said, that flashback to the pantry as a 7-year-old, my relationship with food was always warped, and yeah, it was a comfort. It was, yeah. So Yeah, no, I never had a healthy relationship with food. And I think too, like, because I'm a chef, I grew up with a mother that served humongous meals. I had two huge brothers and a huge dad. You know, they're all 6 foot something. Um, and you were taught you finish what's on your plate. Well, you don't get dessert. You know, every kid wants dessert. So you eat that big, huge pile of potatoes and then
Absolutely.
and then a big pie, pudding bowl full of ice cream and trifle and shit. You know, it's like, yeah, we're not taught to stop, and that was the magic with me when my recent weight loss was that I was like, I'm not hungry anymore. It's okay to stop. I don't have to finish what's on my plate. I hated wasting food, you know. It's like, nah, listen to my body. My body knows exactly what it needs. Yeah.
Same thing, same page. Yeah, we had to finish everything on our plate. And I think that carried over too with alcohol. Like I would never leave a little bit in the bottle.
Oh, really?
Bottle, you know, like, because it's wasting, right?
Yeah.
There's people in third world trying to drink. You can't leave anything behind.
I had a partner that would just finish it the next morning, pick up the warm one from beside the bed.
Oh,
We both know who that is.
classic, love it. Oh, wow. Now, you ended up getting back together with the kid's father after a few months, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And stayed till I knew I was leaving him a few months before I left him, but I had to get all my ducks in place. I set up a bank account, and this just goes to show how I've always put everyone else first before myself because I didn't feel I deserved more. Before that marriage ended, we had a lot of debt. He loved high purchases. He would get depressed, let's go window shopping, and end up coming home with something new. So we were always struggling financially. I knew I was leaving him, but we went to get summary installment order. It's like the court lumps all your debt and then you're given, you know, so much time to pay it off. And they can't charge interest and stuff, the debtors. But it can only go in one person's name. So here's me knowing that I'm going to leave him, thinking I'm going to look like a real bitch if I put all the debt in his name and then leave. So I put it all in my name.
Wow.
So not only did I leave with 3 kids, no freaking, you know, belongings pretty much. I pretty much took what belonged to the kids and me personally and left everything behind. But, you know, I took all his debt with me too.
Did he? Yeah, exactly. Kudos to you for, you know, for want of another word, manning up there. Did he help you pay it? Like something? Not at all. Here we go. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of like my pattern, my MO, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
as long as everyone else is okay, because that's where I sought my validation from. How other people saw me, how other people felt about me.
Yeah. How other people saw you doing the right thing and
Yeah.
a stand-up person.
The thought of someone thinking that I was a bad person and I'd done something, you know, it was like, it horrified me. Couldn't live with that. Yeah.
Now because he ended up getting ill, but then you would look
I know
after.
that was not my husband.
Oh,
that was
okay.
That was my next partner.
Okay.
Yeah. I was on my own for about 18 months, 2 years before I moved on to my next partner. But we were together, my second partner, we were together 2.5 years before he got sick. We didn't live together in those 2.5 years. And then he got the flu injection. We thought at first it was an ear infection because he was off balance. And then they were like, oh, you know, it seems neurological. So, and he ran out of sick pay. So we went back to work, and his first day back at work, he just fell flat on his face. And they took him straight up the hospital. He came out 4.5 months later in a wheelchair.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I would drop my kids off to school every single day, go straight to the hospital, sit there until I had to leave to go pick my kids up from school, go pick them up. He didn't like hospital food, so every night I was taking him up a meal. It was like, you know, always always about everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is probably a good segue into, let's fast forward in the journey where you discovered self-love, where you thought, gee, I've got to put the oxygen mask on myself first. So what
Mm.
was the series of events that transpired into that? Because you ended up down the track quite a bit later, getting into another relationship and having another child.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Okay. Yeah. After, well, I mean, my fourth relationship, because after I was 5 years with the partner that got ill, and then 2 years later with another partner for 5 years, pretty much straight out of that relationship, which in that relationship I had felt like it wasn't enough, you know, that my partner was always looking for something better. Um, adored him. I believe he loved me in his most capable way. But yeah, then quickly met my son's father, and it was like a connection I'd never experienced before. It felt spiritual. I believed he was my soulmate, everything. There was synchronicities. It was just magic, and very quickly I agreed to try and have a baby. I believed at my age that it would take a long time and may even not be possible, because the research said it was something like a 10% chance at the age that I was, because I was 38, 39. Yeah, but I was pregnant 4 weeks later.
Wow.
So, like 3 months into our relationship. That's how insanely intense the connection was and how much I believed in it. And everyone around me thought he was Mr. Magic. He charmed everyone. Everyone just was. I had friends saying, I'm so jealous, that you've got a man like that. But then everyone too was saying, yay, finally, you've got what you deserve after all these shitty years. So, yeah, with me giving up work to have the baby and him struggling to earn the kind of money he earned in Australia, because he's Australian, um, we ended up moving to Australia while I was 6 months pregnant. Took all my older kids with me too, because they were in their teens. Um, yeah, but unfortunately, I was when we first met, he told me that he'd had an addiction in the past to meth and stuff, even harder stuff at times. But had said that he was 6 years clean. Well, that was a fib. And when our son was 5 weeks old, it went down that I found out that he was using needles. I was in New Zealand at the time. He was in Australia. It was like sort of like the day we left, sort of thing. He got so messed up that he kind of went AWOL for a couple of days, and I knew something was up. And then it's like he had to tell me what went down, because he had emptied our bank account, and he was supposed to be flying over to New Zealand in a week. So it was like, he had to confess. Otherwise, I don't think I would have found out. So yeah, I mean, promises of change and stuff. I'm in Australia with a newborn baby, nowhere to go. So stuck it out for a year. But yeah, one night he didn't come home and left me on red, sort of ghosted me. And the next morning when he came home, I said, that is completely unacceptable. So already I had started my journey to knowing what I deserved. Like, because the strength it took to leave the previous 5-year relationship, I knew that I wouldn't put up with that same kind of treatment or unhappiness again. So
You've sort of developed calluses or this bait.
yeah. So I was just like, nah, I'm not going to spend another 5 years feeling shit about myself and letting someone, treat me that way. So I said to him, that's unacceptable. You ever do that to me again, I'm out of here. I'm gone. And so the next time it happened, he's out on the piss, because he was alcoholic too. He drank every night. But yeah, so he's like ignoring my messages and blah 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 blah. And at one point, he pretends to be his mate in messages and goes, "Oh, He's passed out on the couch. I'll put him on the train in the morning. And by this point, I'm so pissed off. I'm just like, I don't give a shit. And I got back the reply, I don't give a shit either. And it was like, to me, it was like, that's so him. He's saying, I don't give a shit either back. So I was just like, nah, I'm done. So next day, I was sitting on our bed, suitcases packed, ready to leave. And yeah, I was like, I'm leaving. And we left for a few days, went and stayed with a friend, but it wasn't suitable with a toddler. So I went back because I was like, it's my home too. And I got, what the fuck are you doing here? I've moved on with my life. It was like 3 days. Yeah, so he tortured me for about a week or two until a family member bought me a plane ticket home to New Zealand and I took off. Yeah.
So that was kind of a line in the sand.
Yeah.
And so at this stage, you were carrying a bit of weight.
Actually, at that point, when I left Hemi's father, I wasn't too bad because, like, my pregnancy. Oh, I shouldn't have said his name.
We'll take that out. Yep.
Yeah.
So just start
okay.
again at that point.
So at that point, I actually had lost weight during my pregnancy with Hemi. My body. I was in love with my body when I was pregnant with him. So I don't think I even put on a ton over the next year or so. I think it was probably after my car accident that the weight started to pile on because I was struggling to walk. Weird enough, it wasn't upstairs. I was struggling to walk down my stairs every morning. Yeah, I was rear-ended. I was stationary and I was rear-ended by a guy in a big freaking Dodge Ute or something, big tonner, at 70k.
Wow.
So yeah, I ended up.
Did you have your baby in the car with you? Or?
No, I was actually on my way home from work at 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, so ended up going to the hospital, 4 herniated discs. Yeah, years of recovery. Very, very different now, because I think also pain, isn't as easy to deal with if you're carrying emotional stuff. So yeah, in the beginning, I isolated myself. I didn't have people over because it was an effort just to, make my bed. Every night I was taking 2 Panadol, 2 Tramadol, 2 codeine 4 times a day. And at night I had to drink a bottle of wine. Otherwise I couldn't sleep. I was in so much pain. So yeah, the weight piled on over that period because I was struggling to move. Yeah.
Wow.
And probably comforting myself as well with food, alcohol.
Yeah. You're not alone. I mean, injury or pain, especially if you're talking back and neck pain, can just catastrophic effects. And like you say, it's hard to move, so you're not burning the calories. But you also, if you're used to, and you were from a young age, being comforted by food, then that's your go-to, right? That's going to help me feel good in the moment. Yeah. So how did you lose the weight? What sort of advice do you have for the audience out there? So, maybe there's some mamas out there that are, in their 30s, 40s, what have you, and they're struggling to lose the weight. What worked for you? I mean, we're talking a massive shift, in total, we're talking 100 pounds.
Well, the first weight loss wasn't a healthy weight loss.
Yeah.
It was grief and stuff like that. And yeah, just avoiding life with alcohol and not eating. So I lost 35 kilos in 2005. I don't know exactly, but I know I was somewhere, between 130 and 140 kilos. The photo that I've shared with you is the only photo I have of that time of my life. I kept that one photo because I needed to remember where I was. And I've never shared it with another living soul, so that's a massive thing for me. And it just actually feels really good to finally share it because it's like, why am I ashamed? Why am I ashamed of that? You know, that's who I was, and look at who I am now, you know. So yeah, I put on maybe, 15 to 20 kilos again of that weight. No. Yeah, probably 15. And then, yeah, after my car accident and stuff, piling the weight on, in 2022, I just know because of events, I was 118 kilos. I'm now 90 kilos,
So
maintaining it.
down 28. Yeah, massive.
Yeah. For me, the initial weight loss, because I discovered spirituality through all of the COVID pandemic and stuff. I started moving in different circles, more spiritual circles, because I chose not to get vaccinated. So yeah, it opened me up to a new world of people, and I'd always been a spiritual person my whole life. I went through a stage where I believed I was Wiccan. So yeah, the first real conscious connection with God was I just felt this deep sense of knowing in my spirit that I shouldn't get vaccinated. And another thing is that when I had my car accident, they discovered a brain tumor. So I've been living with a brain tumor since my car accident. That was, I think, another part of the reason why I didn't want to get vaccinated, because my experience with my ex-partner and the flu jab, having cancer and it triggering a, immune response that damaged his brain. So it was like, I just knew in my heart not to. And I got some pretty nasty shit, even from my own family. Like my own mother said, just go die then, because everyone was so indoctrinated in fear and panic,
It was such a crazy time.
Yeah. So people were angry at me that I wasn't doing it. And I was just like, it feels right. And throughout that period, I lost my job, I lost my home. My son and I never spent a night on the street. We never went without a meal. So I know God took care of us, I knew, I felt peace, I felt calm. My life had been this terrible roller coaster of disasters, but this disaster just, it leveled me out. It just gave me peace. And I even had people that did it say, I'm so jealous that you were so strong and you stuck by your beliefs, And my life has just gotten better and better and better, the more I've connected with the divine and with my own self. And that's what led me to my journey of self-love and healing, really, really deep stuff that I didn't even know was there.
I'm so happy for you. I'm so
Yeah.
happy for you. You can see it on your face.
Yeah. So yeah, the first 10 kilos dropped off because of a change in spirit and energy. Breath work.
Yeah.
Breath work. Oh, amazing, You don't realize how much your body holds on to stuff. And breath work, most people may not know what it is, but it's about using your breath to release stored up energy. And it was miraculous, really. All of a sudden I'm looking in the mirror and go, damn. And it's like a snowball effect. We're a vibration. So you look in the mirror and smile, that's a vibration. You look in the mirror and go, ooh, yuck, that's a vibration. So through all of this, I've learned, keep a positive mindset. Tell yourself how amazing you are. I've seen myself in a whole new light. I've met a whole new me, and it's like I can look back and go, holy crap. What people have been telling me my whole life, you're so strong, Kim, you're this, you're that. It's like, oh yeah, I used to think I was the weakest person. And now it's like, holy crap, man, you're so strong.
You're like owning that. Yeah. Love it. It's funny what people can recognize, outside of us. And we're like, how do you even see that? That's
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah.
Very cool. You're just tracking back quickly. Your tumor benign or?
Yeah. Benign.
Okay, cool.
And that's the other magic of vibration and all of this stuff is I have and manifestation. I've been telling my brain tumor from day one is not allowed to grow. And it's barely grown, you know. It's like a doctor said to me recently, would you like me to take it out? I said, why? He said, it's not hurting anyone. Leave it alone. Why would you? I want you to open my blooming skull up for no reason, you know. Doctors are all like, oh, let's do this. Here, take that. But yeah, no, I've taken control of my body. You know, we're sovereign over our own bodies. We decide if we're healthy. So I speak health into myself. But I also did make dietary changes after that because I got excited about weight loss again, you know, I got inspired. So, and all of these people around me were talking about carnivore and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, hey, because friends of mine, you know, were off tons of medications and stuff. I thought, okay, this is cool. But I couldn't be totally carnivore. I mean, I like my leafy greens and I like fruit and stuff like that and mushrooms. I couldn't live without mushrooms, but mushrooms are good for you. So yeah, I did change. I fasted as long as I could each day. I usually didn't eat till about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If I did have hunger pangs during that time, I'd grab a piece of pork crackle and my hunger would go away. You know, my body was getting that fuel. It's about understanding how your body works too, because people are like, oh, but that doesn't have sugar. It's a potato. You know, hello.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah. And I think too, one of the major effects, because if we look back in the 70s, you didn't see a lot of fat people. And in the 70s, they didn't use vegetable and seed oils, you know. So I've cut all of those out of my diet. They're toxic. They're really, really toxic.
Exactly. And we need more education around that, right? Like,
And I mean, I've discovered, you know, the connection between gut health and everything else, the lymphatic system. So I'm now, you know, that's my next journey to address those health issues. But then, end of the day, my true belief is that physically, you can change anything you want to that's in the physical through the mental, you know. So regardless of what you do, your mindset and how you feel about yourself, how you're vibrating, you know, all of that will have a massive impact on your body.
Yeah, 100% believe that, Byington. I'm a big fan of, I'm not sure if you've come across some Dr. Joe Dispenza as well.
Yeah.
It is a very, it's right here, 1 second. Very cool book. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Oh, that's not focusing on it. There we go.
No.
Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool. So on that note, Kim, I want to give the audience some real value here. If there's some people listening to you, and it could be male, female, what have you, and they're just like, oh, yeah, that's really cool. So you did some mindset work, you did some breath work. I have no idea how that's going to help me lose weight. What would you, if you had to give them like a 3-step plan, like you come across someone that was 20, 30, 40 kgs, you know, 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds overweight, and they just wanted a 3-step system, like what would you say, what would, in order of priority, if they wanted to drop the weight?
I think, number 1, change the way you speak to yourself. Yeah. That, I mean, I was my worst bully for years, you know. That will be the catalyst to further change. Speaking goodness into yourself, you know. Our words are very powerful. Our spirit hears everything, you know. And the way the brain works is it believes what you tell it. So if you keep looking in the mirror and going, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful, eventually it's fake it till you make it, you know. So yeah, just that's the first step, is change the way you speak to yourself. Second, I would say get out into nature, you know, connect with the earth, do gardening, take your bloody shoes off, you know, go and stand on the ground.
Those toes in the dirt.
Yeah, I've got a specific tree in my backyard that when I want to ground, if it's too cold to go outside with no shoes on, I just go and hug my tree for 10 minutes. I actually did that before we went online. Actually, I went out and I was like, I need to ground. I'm like, oh, so I went and hugged my tree for a bit. Yeah. And a third, of course, is listen to your body when it comes to health and nutrition and food. Um, and I mean, I still to this day have days where I fall back into old habits. I'm feeling sucky, so it's like, oh, screw it. I'm going to have a bowl of ice cream. There are still you can't be perfect. You can't be super happy every day either. Because I was trying to be like, I know that manifestation, and you've got to feel the feeling as if it's already exists, right? So I'm like, right, I'm going to be like, because I'm single. I've been single for quite some time now, like 8 years.
Your DMs are going to blow up after this episode.
But anyway, so now I'm blushing. Yeah, so what was I talking about? I've lost my track now. Oh, yeah, so I was like obsessively acting like I was in love. Because it's like, well, if I'm feeling like I'm in love, my true love's coming along, But it's not realistic to keep that up 24/7, It's like, and then I hit this like, and I'm like going, you can't stop, Kim, because then it won't happen. But then God said to me, no matter what you do, if it's divinely meant for you, it's divinely meant for you. Just relax, just trust. And that's a magic I've found in life too, is like, you got to just love every day, and the future never comes. It never comes. It's like, because it's always the future. So just enjoy what you've got now. Live your life with gratitude. I'm super, super blessed in every single way. I don't hold any regret in my life. I appreciate every experience, good and bad. It's brought me to this point in my life that's just magic. So
I love it so much. You're preaching to the choir in so many ways. Like everything you
I
say.
watched you too, Kev. It's like, yeah, I totally see the glow up in you, and it's like it's only going to get better. Yeah, we're stepping into like the best time of our lives, mate.
Let's fucking go. What you've just identified with the self-love first, saying, hey, how you speak to yourself is fundamental. Second, get out into nature. Like as soon as I'm feeling like overloaded or any anxiety, I'll hit the bush, bush crack. And it's just healing. You know what I mean?
It's like you're dumping that negative and all the electromagnetic shit. You're dumping it into the ground, and then
Yeah.
taking the goodness back.
Exactly. And listening to your body, like oftentimes food can be, you can be in reaction. It's like, okay, stress, what I used to do, I'd just hit the fridge. That would be the only toolkit in my shed. If I'm stressing, let's go at the fridge or the pantry, right? But listening to your body may not need that. It may just need to do some box breathing, or, like old pattern interrupt, chuck on a epic piece of music that I love, or push-ups, or some box breathing, or 6, 7, 8. And it's just, you just need to take yourself out of that state for a minute. And when it comes to listening to your body, I was experimenting with this a couple of weeks ago. I really feel like some ice cream. Okay, well, it doesn't mean that I have to break my plan. Literally weighed 50 grams of ice cream, 50 grams of blueberries, and then a scoop of protein powder. Now, all of a sudden, I've got this, high protein dessert.
Yeah.
That's not even really breaking the bank on a calorie.
And that's the thing too. Portion sizes are so humongous. Don't deny yourself, because that just breeds more cravings. Like when I'd cut out potatoes, pasta, and bread and stuff, I was still, because I love curries. Absolutely love curries. So, and you can't eat a curry without rice. But I was allowing myself a small portion of rice. It used to be a huge plate of rice with a bit of curry on top. Now it was like this little bit of rice with this huge curry. But it was still good, and I stuck to basmati rice because it's, not as starchy and
I love it. I love it. And yeah, it's all about that balance, finding that balance, right? Like I'll have a couple of poached eggs with one thin slice piece of Vogel's. For our American viewers, it's this really cool NZ made
crunchy.
Yeah, thin slice, crunchy. But instead of like two thick pieces of white toast, it's one thin sort of whole
Yeah, moderation, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You don't have to. I mean, I don't eat potato chips anymore because but you don't have to. You can say you're craving candy, a specific candy that you miss, or a piece of your chocolate. Okay, you might have sat down and ate the whole bar one point in time in your life, but you could have two pieces and go, that satisfied my craving, and move on from it. It's not the end of the world.
Kim, I think a lot of people's weight loss journey would unlock from simply loving themselves more
100%.
and not talking to themselves like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So getting back to your step one, right? Would you be open? You're a healer. You're a walking example. Would you be open to, if there's anyone that's just resonating with your story, reaching out to you? If so, we can put your Instagram handle or whatever in the show notes.
100%.
Okay. I think there's a mentor inside there. I mean, you love to give, you love to help, and
feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Exactly how this podcast exists.
See, that's something I've struggled with too, is imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, so I'm ignoring it and just going, screw it, I'm doing it anyway, because if I don't make that step, I'll never know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all do. And the higher up the so-called food chain you get, you'll realize, I've heard this numerous times, people in power, like even top of the sort of state politicians or whatever, have no idea what they're fucking doing. They wake up in the morning and we'll work it out along the way, So yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Kim, thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for showing up. It's 100% the real you, and sharing the photo that no one has seen of you at your heaviest. That takes vulnerability. I think also, I think by people seeing that, that'll resonate with them, and they're going to be like, that's where I am now.
Yeah.
And I tell myself I'm a piece of shit every single day, So, yeah, I hope you get a few people reaching out to you for some guidance.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sending you much love. Thank you for being on.
Love you too, Kev.
Cheers.
Yeah.